Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, where we uncover the hidden stories and incredible values behind the coins that many people overlook every single day. Today's video is going to blow your mind because we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious and sought-after coins in American history, the United States of America 1944 1-cent Lincoln steel wheat penny with no mint mark. This isn't just any ordinary penny. This tiny piece of metal has an unbelievable story that dates back to World War II, a time when the world was changing and even the smallest coins were caught up in the chaos of history. So stay tuned until the end, because by the time we reveal how much this coin could actually be worth, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. Let's travel back to the early 1940s. America was fully engaged in World War II, and resources like copper and tin were urgently needed for ammunition and military supplies. To support the war effort, the U.S. Mint made a big change in 1943. It stopped producing copper pennies and instead made them from steel coated with zinc. These new steel cents were bright and silver-colored when freshly minted, but over time they often rusted or darkened. They were made for only 1 year, and in 1944, the mint returned to using copper again. But here's where the story gets fascinating. A few leftover steel planchets from 1943 somehow got stuck in the minting machines and were accidentally struck in 1944 with the new date. That's how the legendary 1944 steel wheat penny was born, a coin that wasn't supposed to exist. Now, most 1944 Lincoln pennies you'll come across are made of copper and weigh about 3.11 grams. But the extremely rare 1944 steel wheat penny weighs only about 2.7 grams and sticks to a magnet. That's the first test collectors used to identify one. This little difference is what makes it so extraordinary. Imagine, a simple mistake at the mint created one of the most valuable coins in American history. The 1944 steel penny is a true numismatic legend, a collector's dream, and one of the holy grails of coin collecting. If you hold a 1944 wheat penny with no mint mark, that means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the primary facilities of the U.S. Mint. In 1944, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 1 billion regular copper pennies, so finding one isn't difficult. But if yours happens to be made of steel, then you're looking at something that could change your life. The no-mint mark version of the 1944 steel penny is even rarer than its Denver or San Francisco counterparts. Only a handful of authentic examples are known to exist today, and each one is worth a fortune. What makes the 1944 steel wheat penny so captivating is not just its rarity but the story it tells about American history. Each coin carries the weight of a moment when the nation was at war, industries were shifting, and every ounce of metal mattered. The fact that a few steel planchets were accidentally struck with the wrong year makes this coin a historical accident, a beautiful, valuable mistake that has become a legend among collectors. It's like holding a piece of history in the palm of your hand, a tiny artifact that connects you directly to the era of tanks, aircraft, and the home front war effort. The design of the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny remains classic and timeless. On the obverse side, you'll see the profile of Abraham Lincoln, the beloved 16th President of the United States, sculpted by Victor David Brenner. The word Liberty stands proudly beside him, and the date 1944 sits just below his shoulder. Above Lincoln's head is the powerful motto, "In God We Trust," reminding us of America's enduring faith and resilience during difficult times. On the reverse, you'll find 2 stalks of wheat flanking the denomination 1 cent, with the words United States of America and E pluribus unum, Latin for, out of many, one. This wheat design, used from 1909 to 1958, remains one of the most iconic and beloved designs in U.S. coinage history. When it comes to identifying whether your 1944 penny is steel or copper, the easiest way is to test it with a magnet. A copper penny will not stick, but a steel one will immediately cling to it. That's the quickest sign that you might be holding something extraordinary. Of course, there are counterfeit versions out there, where people try to plate regular copper pennies with steel or alter 1943 coins to make them look like 1944s. The weight test, magnet test, and a professional evaluation from grading services like PCGS or NGC are essential to verify authenticity. A real 1944 steel penny is magnetic, light, and unmistakably different from the standard copper issue. Collectors and investors have been hunting for this coin for decades, and for good reason. It's not just rare, it's incredibly scarce. There are believed to be fewer than 30 genuine examples in existence today, and every single one is accounted for among private collectors and auction houses. When one of these coins surfaces, it becomes a major event in the numismatic world. Auction houses announce it with excitement, collectors bid fiercely, and prices soar to unbelievable levels. The 1944 steel penny has become one of those legendary coins that every collector dreams of finding in an old coin jar, an inherited collection, or even in pocket change. Imagine this: you're sorting through an old family coin collection, you spot a dull gray penny dated 1944, and you test it with a magnet, and it sticks. At that moment, your heart would skip a beat because you'd realize you might be holding one of the rarest coins ever made by the US Mint. That feeling, that thrill of discovery, is what makes coin collecting so exciting. Each coin holds the potential for a life-changing surprise, and the 1944 steel wheat penny represents the ultimate example of that dream. Now let's talk about the condition, or what collectors call the grade. Even though these coins are rare in any condition, their value can vary dramatically depending on their appearance and preservation. A coin that has been circulated and shows signs of wear will still be worth an incredible amount, but one in uncirculated or mint state condition can reach astronomical prices. Coins that have been authenticated and graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as high mint state (MS) grades often attract the highest bidders, especially when their surfaces are clean, shiny, and show full original detail. It's also worth noting that the 1944 steel wheat penny is one of those coins that has fascinated both beginner collectors and experienced numismatists alike. Because it's such a rare error, its fame has spread far beyond the coin community. It has been featured in news stories, documentaries, and countless articles about the most valuable US coins ever found. The combination of historical significance, accidental rarity, and eye-catching appearance makes it one of the crown jewels of American coinage. And now comes the part you've been waiting for: the value. If you're lucky enough to own an authentic 1944 Lincoln steel wheat penny with no mint mark in well-preserved condition, you might be sitting on a treasure worth more than $200,000. Today's story is about one of the most extraordinary, mysterious, and valuable pennies ever struck in the United States, the 1944 Lincoln steel wheat penny. Yes, you heard that right, a 1944 penny made of steel, not copper, with the rare Denver mint mark. This is not just another ordinary wheat penny, this is one of the rarest and most valuable coins in the entire Lincoln cent series. Stick around until the very end because the value of this coin will absolutely amaze you and could even change how you look at every penny you've ever owned. To understand the full story of the 1944 steel wheat penny, we need to journey back to a time of world conflict, the Second World War. The United States, in the early 1940s, was deeply involved in the war effort, and every resource mattered. Copper, which was used for ammunition and critical military equipment, became too valuable to use for coin production. To save copper for the war, the U.S. Mint decided to make pennies out of steel coated with zinc in 1943. These coins looked shiny and silvery when new, but because they rusted and sometimes confused people, they were often mistaken for dimes. The experiment lasted only 1 year. When 1944 came, the mint switched back to using copper made from recycled shell casings collected from military training grounds. But during that changeover, a few leftover steel planchets, the small metal discs used to strike coins, got stuck in the minting presses and were accidentally struck with the 1944 dies. And that accident gave birth to one of the greatest coin mysteries in U.S. history, the 1944 steel wheat penny. Most of these errors came from the Philadelphia Mint, but a few were struck at the Denver Mint, creating the ultra-rare 1944 steel wheat penny that collectors around the world dream of finding. To the naked eye, it looks like a regular 1944 penny, but its secret lies in its composition and appearance. A standard 1944 penny is made of copper and has that familiar reddish tone we all recognize. The steel version, however, has a dull gray or silvery color, slightly lighter in weight, and most importantly, it sticks to a magnet. That's the biggest clue. If you ever find a 1944 D penny that clings to a magnet, your heart should skip a beat because you could be holding one of the rarest coins in American history. The D Mint mark under the date tells you it was struck in Denver, Colorado. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of regular copper 1944 pennies, but only a tiny handful of steel ones escaped into circulation. In fact, experts estimate that only 2 or 3 genuine examples of the 1944 D steel wheat penny exist today. Think about that, out of billions of pennies made that year, just a few were struck on the wrong metal, and each of those coins has become a legendary treasure. The design of this remarkable coin is a timeless classic. On the front, or obverse, you'll see the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, America's beloved 16th president, created by the sculptor Victor David Brenner. The words, "In God We Trust," curve along the top, with "Liberty" to Lincoln's left and the date 1944, followed by the small D Mint mark to his right. On the reverse, the design features 2 graceful wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, with E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one, written above. This wheat design, used from 1909 to 1958, remains one of the most admired and nostalgic designs in U.S. coin history. What makes the 1944 D steel penny so captivating is not only its extreme rarity but the story behind its accidental creation. Every coin tells a story, and this one speaks of a time when America was united under one cause: victory in war. The mint was operating at full capacity, striking millions of coins per day to keep up with wartime demand. It's easy to imagine how a few leftover 1943 steel planchets slipped through the system unnoticed and found their way into the 1944 presses. But what no one could have predicted is that those few mistakes would become some of the most valuable and sought-after coins ever made. Over the years, collectors have been obsessed with finding this elusive coin. Stories have circulated about lucky individuals discovering one in old jars, inherited collections, or dusty drawers where coins from decades past were kept. Each time one of these coins surfaces, it becomes the centerpiece of auctions and headlines in the numismatic world. Professional graders like PCGS and NGC have authenticated only a few genuine 1944 D steel pennies, and their appearance always creates a stir of excitement among collectors and investors alike. Now, let's talk about how you can identify one yourself. First, check the date carefully. It must say 1944 with a small d under it. Then, look closely at the color. It should appear silver gray instead of the usual reddish copper tone. Next, try the magnet test. A genuine 1944 D steel penny will stick firmly to a magnet because it's made primarily of steel, while a regular copper penny will not. Lastly, always verify authenticity with a professional grading service because there are many fakes out there. People sometimes coat copper pennies with silver or zinc to make them look like steel, or they alter 1943 coins to show the 1944 date. But no fake can fool an expert's eyes and equipment. The 1944 D steel wheat penny is more than just a coin, it's a window into history. It tells the story of America's resilience, innovation, and unintentional creation of a modern treasure. Its rarity places it alongside other legendary coins like the 1913 Liberty nickel and the 1804 silver dollar, coins so rare that even seasoned collectors may never see one in person. Owning a genuine 1944 D steel penny is like owning a piece of American magic, a mistake that turned into a masterpiece. Collectors prize these coins not only for their scarcity but for their pristine condition. The better the grade, the higher the value. A coin that shows minimal wear, sharp details, and bright surfaces can command astronomical prices at auction. When you think about how most coins are worth just 1 cent, it's incredible to imagine how a simple error can transform that tiny piece of metal into something worth more than a luxury car or even a house. It's proof that history, rarity, and luck can combine to create something truly priceless. The fascination surrounding this coin has only grown with time. It's been featured in documentaries, coin magazines, and collector guides as one of the top dream finds in U.S. coinage. Some collectors spend their entire lives searching for one, while others hope to stumble upon it in an old collection handed down through generations. Every time a new discovery happens, it reignites hope in the hearts of coin enthusiasts everywhere. Now picture this: you're sitting at your desk, sorting through a pile of old wheat pennies you found in your grandfather's attic. One of them catches your eye because it looks different, lighter in color, a bit silvery. You grab a magnet and it sticks instantly. Your heart races, your hands tremble, because in that moment you realize what you might have found, a 1944 steel wheat penny, one of the rarest coins in American history. That's the kind of discovery that changes lives and turns an ordinary day into an unforgettable one. And now, after all this fascinating history and mystery, it's time for the part everyone's been waiting for, the value. The 1944 Lincoln steel wheat penny, one of the rarest coins ever struck by the United States Mint, has been known to sell for an astonishing amount of over $1,750,000. Today, we're taking a deep dive into one of the most legendary and mysterious coins ever produced by the United States Mint, the 1944 Lincoln steel wheat penny. This rare beauty, marked with the letter S beneath the date, comes straight from the San Francisco Mint, and it's surrounded by one of the most captivating stories in American coin history. At first glance, it might look like an ordinary old penny, but don't let its small size fool you. This coin could be worth a life-changing amount of money. Stay tuned until the very end, because when you hear how much the 1944 steel penny has sold for, you'll be absolutely amazed. To truly understand the significance of this coin, we have to rewind the clock to one of the most challenging yet inspiring times in American history, the early 1940s during World War II. In 1943, as the war effort intensified, copper, a key material for ammunition and other military equipment, became scarce. The United States Mint made a bold decision. For 1 year, the penny would be struck not from its usual copper alloy, but from steel coated with zinc. This change saved tons of copper for the war, but it also created one of the most unusual-looking coins ever made, the 1943 steel wheat penny. These pennies shined like dimes when new, but they rusted easily and confused the public. By 1944, the Mint had returned to using copper made from recycled military shell casings. However, something unexpected happened. A few leftover 1943 steel planchets accidentally got stuck in the machinery and were struck with 1944 dies. This rare minting error created one of the most famous and valuable coins in existence, the 1944 steel wheat penny. These rare errors were struck at all three mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, but the San Francisco version, bearing the S Mint mark, is among the rarest and most coveted of them all. Imagine this, out of hundreds of millions of pennies produced in 1944, only a handful were made of steel. That's like finding one snowflake in a blizzard. The 1944 steel penny stands out not only for its rarity but for the unique set of circumstances that gave it life. It was never supposed to exist. The few examples that slipped through the presses have become legendary among collectors and investors alike. Every time one appears at auction, it sends shockwaves through the numismatic world. Let's take a closer look at this stunning coin. On the front, or obverse side, you'll find the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, a design created by Victor David Brenner. This portrait has graced the penny since 1909 and remains one of the most iconic images in American coinage. Above Lincoln's head are the words, "In God We Trust." To his left, the word "Liberty" is engraved, and to his right, you'll see the date 1944 with the tiny S Mint mark below it, showing it was minted in San Francisco. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the classic wheat penny reverse design. Two stalks of wheat curving along the sides of the words, 1 cent and United States of America. Above, the Latin phrase, E pluribus unum, proudly declares, out of many, one. This design, used from 1909 through 1958, symbolizes America's unity, resilience, and growth, fitting themes for a coin born in wartime. What sets the 1944 steel wheat penny apart from the countless other wheat pennies of that era is, of course, the metal it's made from. Regular 1944 pennies were copper and weighed about 3.11 grams, with a warm reddish tone. The steel version, however, weighs about 2.7 grams and has a cool silvery gray color. Most importantly, it sticks to a magnet. That's the first test collectors use to spot a steel cent. The difference is striking once you see it in person, but before you start testing every 1944 penny you have with a magnet, there's something you should know: there are many fakes out there. Some people have tried to plate copper pennies with zinc or chrome to mimic the steel color. Others alter 1943 steel pennies to make them look like 1944s. However, a genuine 1944 steel penny has specific characteristics that experts can identify immediately: exact weight, composition, and die details. If you ever suspect you found one, it's best to have it verified by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can confirm its authenticity and grade, which directly affects its value. Now, let's talk about rarity, and this is where things get really exciting. Experts estimate that only 2 to 3 genuine 1944 steel wheat pennies are known to exist. That's right, just a few examples in the entire world. Compare that to the billions of regular copper pennies made that same year, and you'll understand why collectors consider this coin one of the rarest errors ever produced by the United States Mint. These few surviving coins were likely struck early in the production year when a leftover steel blank from 1943 slipped into the press before being discovered. It's an accident that should never have happened, yet it resulted in one of the most valuable coins in history. Every time one of these coins appears at auction, it becomes the center of attention. Collectors and investors from all over the world compete fiercely to own this piece of American history. It's not just a coin, it's a relic, a tangible connection to a time when the entire country was united in sacrifice and determination. Holding one of these in your hand is like holding a piece of the 1940s, a reminder of the ingenuity, mistakes, and miracles that define American minting history. The excitement surrounding this coin doesn't stop with its history or rarity, it's also about the thrill of the hunt. Imagine sorting through an old jar of wheat pennies, passed down through generations, and suddenly noticing one that looks a bit off. It's lighter in color, slightly different in weight, and when you bring a magnet close to it, it sticks. Your pulse quickens, your hands tremble, and your heart starts racing because you realize that you might just have stumbled upon one of the rarest coins ever struck. That's the dream of every coin collector, to find a life-changing treasure in the most unexpected place. Collectors know that condition, or grade, also plays a massive role in determining a coin's value. Even though a 1944 steel penny is valuable in any state, the cleaner and sharper it is, the more it can fetch. A circulated coin with light wear will already be worth a fortune, but one in mint state, with no scratches, full luster, and original shine, can command astronomical prices. Coins that have been certified and encapsulated by trusted grading services often bring record-breaking bids because collectors want the best of the best. This coin's legend has grown with every passing decade. It's been featured in documentaries, collector magazines, and countless articles as one of the most valuable and mysterious coins ever produced. Its story combines history, rarity, and luck, a perfect mix that fascinates both seasoned collectors and newcomers to the hobby. The 1944 steel wheat penny is the kind of coin that transforms ordinary people into lifelong collectors and turns curiosity into passion. If you ever find a penny from 1944 with an S mint mark, take a close look at its color and feel. If it's gray instead of copper red, if it's slightly lighter, and if it clings to a magnet, don't dismiss it. You could be holding a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that only a handful of people on the planet will ever experience. It's the ultimate treasure hunt, and the reward can be beyond your wildest imagination. And now, the moment everyone's been waiting for, the value. A genuine 1944 Lincoln steel wheat penny, authenticated and in excellent condition, has been known to sell for an astonishing amount of over $1,100,000.